what do I support?
Yes.
I think the way I would approach it as your senator is basically an approach to immigration reform that touches on our core values, that values work, that values families, and values fairness. So that we would have to set up a system where those 11 million folks who are here today, for us, so that we can normalize their status. It could be something that's far off in terms of one way in terms of citizenship for some, a pathway to citizenship. Others, it could be legalization. There'll be some form of normalization. They can be here while their status is being processed. And so for us, for my position, for our campaign, back of the line means they stay in this country while their decision are being processed. You know, we're stuck in this place between walling off the border and having other people frustrated angry because people broke the law get some sort of special break. We just have a system or a process that's fair. That means if you have been here under undocumented status, you pay some sort of fine, you have a job, you haven't committed any major crimes, there's a place for you here. You're part of our community, you're already embedded here. So surely we can figure this particular problem out. So that's one approach we do. The other idea we have is that you turn the border, especially the southern border, into ports of entry for undocumented workers. If we have a need for cheap labor in the state. Come on, this system has worked well for some people in the state. This broken system from corporations and other industries that exploit cheap labor. So this is Garrett Carson's table. So what if we need cheap labor, bring them in the front door, not the back door. They can charge somebody to come in, connect them. We have internet now. We have other ways to take care of issues. Talk with businesses, figure out their needs. Have a database. We actually bring them to the front door, give them some sort of documentation. They start working with companies because there's a shortage of labor.
I'm sorry, before I go to the answer here, I just want to make sure you said that you wanted information on comprehensive immigration reform other than border security and
Dream Act.
Green Act. Okay, thank you. Dream Act. I've got it now. This place is set up so that you can hear us, but we can't really hear you so well. So thank you for that.
Well, the root cause of the immigration crisis in the United States is that we've encouraged in development and the maintenance of the black market for labor. And it's been to the advantage of certain business sectors that have profited immensely from that black market of labor, which has depressed wages across the board, as well as substandard wages for a lot of undocumented immigrants who take those jobs. So the first step that we have to do is end the black market for labor. The way that's going to have to be done is through enforceable, meaningful employer sanctions that go into place at a date certain to make sure if you hire anybody who is not completely documented, either as an immigrant or as a citizen, you will suffer a severe fine that could put you out of business. That's how other countries do this, and it works pretty well. Second, we have to recognize that we have a major demand for low-wage labor. And we need to increase the number of visas so immigrants can come across, come to do the work, and go home to their families. Not a complicated issue. The third thing, we have people here who've been working, who have contributed mightily to this state and mightily to this country, and have done so as honestly and as best as they can. And I applaud those people who are here, and I will work to try to develop a pathway to residency and permanent citizenship in the due process over a period of time. No SB 1070 type action.
Other than border security and the DREAM Act, what else will you do?
First of all, I want you to think about something. When President of the United States, John McCain was a leader in the Senate when he had the majority, and there was a majority in the House. Okay, so we had the President of the United States was a Republican, majority of the House, majority of the Senate, and there was a bill 3 years ago that was pretty close. Is that John McCain got his feelings hurt, and because they were using the word amnesty, he had the bill pulled. So that bill was being worked on. It wasn't perfect, but it had the think tanks on the right and the left. It had all the congressional staff working on it, and everybody said they were right there. What happened, the fact that he let that bill be pulled, in the Arizona State Legislature put together this horrible piece of legislation. Because what I understand is that people want something done with immigration, but but you don't want it done state by state. So the most important thing is that it gets taken care of at the federal level, gets taken care of at the federal level quickly, is we have to understand we are the Southwest. This is a state that knows how to work together. This is a state that has worked very hard to have good working relationships, to have respect for one another. So in the things you talked about, we have to have some identification. We have to have a path to being here legally. We have to take care, get rid of the anger. We have to get the economy going so that we're going to be too busy to be mean to one another. And then we have to make sure that we understand what the federal government does and what the state government does.
Thank you, and Rodney Glassman.
If I heard your question correctly, it was about, are there any specific proposals?
Yes.
And we all, I hope in this room, agree that the federal government is responsible for immigration reform. And unfortunately, that's the top quiz I give to all our state legislative candidates. There's actually a piece of legislation that's stalled right now in the House and the Senate. This past Thursday, I was very proud to receive the endorsement of the United Farm Workers. I'm also supported by Dolores Whitehead, who co-founded United Farm Workers, who said the shot is a great lady, And when they called to tell me and inform me about my endorsement because of my background and track record with labor, they said, we need your help on a piece of legislation called the Ag Jobs Bill. It's a piece of legislation that isn't discussed very frequently. We all, I assume, support the DREAM Act and also support these components of federal legislation. But the Ag Jobs Bill is a microcosm of what can come with federal immigration reform. It's a piece of legislation designed for the agricultural industry by the United Farm Workers and the Arizona Farm Bureau, who got together and worked together on something that made sense for business, that made sense for labor, that protected working families, that provided for quality wages, that made sure that those people who came here, even if undocumented, have a pathway to work in industry, a pathway for protection, a pathway to make sure that they're working in a safe employment environment. And they're frustrated at UFW because they did it the right way. They built consensus. They worked with multiple communities. And at the end of the day, John McCain, who said that they did it that way, still isn't a champion. We need a United States Senator who sees legislation that works, brings it forward.